Module 3, Unit 2, Accountability. This unit will help you to understand accountability to the affected populations, understand the EASC commitments on accountability to affected population. We have seen in Module 1 that one of the main pillars of the transformative agenda is accountability. Daniel is aware of the importance of involving affected population in all the activities, but he would like to have more information about how to operate it in his daily activities. He thinks that Louise could advise on this.
Hello Louise, how are you? I have heard a lot about accountability, but I would like to understand exactly what kind of activities I can carry out to improve accountability in the context of our interventions in Mali.
In fact, Daniel, there are very simple mechanisms that can be activated to make sure that the affected population is involved from the identification of the needs to the response. The following material will help you to understand what is accountability and how to operationalize it in the context of a humanitarian intervention.
In 2003, the Global Humanitarian Platform adopted a number of standards in accountability and quality management, also called the Humanitarian Accountability Partnership, to better ensure accountability to the affected population. The following video clearly shows how to implement such standards in the context of humanitarian interventions.
Aid organisations operate in complex situations. Natural disasters and conflict can devastate communities. Humanitarian organisations help people to recover by providing assistance to help them rebuild their lives. This is challenging work, and in the chaos of a crisis, being accountable to affected populations is not always a priority. During a crisis, aid organisations hold a huge amount of power, whether they're providing food, shelter, or medical assistance. For the affected population, their actions could mean the difference between life and death. The Humanitarian Accountability Partnership was founded in 2003 to help redress this imbalance of power and give affected populations a voice in the design, implementation, and evaluation of aid programmes. By implementing the HAP standard and its 6 benchmarks, aid organisations are known to be more accountable. To meet benchmark 1, organisations let communities know who they are, what they have committed to do, and how they are going to achieve it. With this information, communities can hold them to account. Benchmark 2 makes sure that aid workers have not only the right skills, but also the right attitudes for the job. Survivors of disasters may have lost their families, their livelihoods, and their homes. They seek safety and security in the midst of chaos and need clear information about where to find it. To help them do this, Benchmark 3 ensures organisations share accurate, timely, and accessible information so that communities know what they should expect from aid organisations, where help is, and how they can get it. While people affected by crises may have suffered great hardship, they are not passive recipients and should actively be involved in decisions that affect them. Benchmark 4 of the HAP standard ensures aid organisations engage local communities in planning aid, which helps them regain their dignity and makes aid more effective and appropriate. Aid organisations aim to improve the lives of some of the world's most vulnerable people. But even with the best will in the world, things can go wrong. And when they do, people must be given the opportunity to complain. Benchmark 5 helps organisations establish appropriate complaints mechanisms. By doing so, organisations can help prevent abuse and exploitation, and can make sure that when things do go wrong, they are put right. From this, aid organisations can learn and improve, which is benchmark 6. Accountability to affected populations is not rocket science. But all too often, aid organisations are least accountable to the people they serve. If together we commit to putting the 6 HAP benchmarks into practice, we will make aid accountable to the people who need it.
Following the experience of the Humanitarian Accountability Partnership in 2011, the EASC endorsed the commitments on accountability to affected populations, commonly called the CAAP or CARP. These commitments establish that all organisations involved in humanitarian actions will improve accountability by proving leadership, good governance, and ensuring that feedback and accountability mechanisms are integrated into country strategies, programme proposals, monitoring and evaluations, recruitment, staff inductions, training and performance management, partnership agreements, and highlighted in reporting. Being transparent, providing accessible and timely information to affected populations on organisational procedures, structures and processes that affect them to ensure that they can make informed decisions and choices. Having in place a feedback and complaints mechanism. Actively seeking the views of affected populations to improve policy and practice in programming. Ensuring participation and enabling effective populations to play an active role in the decision-making process. Designing, monitoring and evaluating the goals and objectives of programs with the involvement of affected populations. In the case of WASH coordination platforms, all partners have a responsibility for accountability. To be in line with the EASC Accountability to Affected Population operational framework, the WASH coordination platform has identified key accountabilities with a cluster or sector. The WASH platform coordinator is accountable to the affected population, the WASH lead agency at country level, WASH agencies and other sectors. The WASH lead agency is accountable to the affected population, the humanitarian coordinator, the resident coordinator and the humanitarian country team. WASH platform agencies, national governments for information and coordination, donors and others providing funding or resources for their programs. WASH platform partners are accountable to the affected population, national government for information and coordination, donors and others providing funding or resources for their programs, each other. National governments and state institutions are accountable to the affected population, donors and others providing funding or resources for their programs.
As you could easily see in the video, accountability is not rocket science, but its implementation is not always easy in the context of an emergency. That is why it's always better to be prepared in advance.
I see. I would start by developing an action plan to enhance accountability.
Good idea, Daniel.